Okay, welcome back. This is the second video in which we're going to talk about SSH, SFTP, and CRON. In the first video, we talked about SSH and key file exchanges, how to automatically log in without having to do type in a password. And in this video, we're going to talk next in a little more detail about the secure file transfer protocol to move files between our computers. And to make things even more automatic, we're going to talk about using batch files. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. If you didn't see the first video, you might want to take a look at it. It describes the environment we're working in. And just in a quick recap, we've got 3 terminal sessions open to 3 different computers, one representing us on our server, a client account, and a vendor account. These are all 3 different computers running on the same network. We've already established SSH logins and exchange keys so that we can log in back and forth between servers without using a password. So if I want to transfer a file from my server to the client, it's pretty straightforward. I'm going to go where my file is, which in this case is the outbound directory. You can see that I have 2 files ready to go out, one to the client and one for the vendor. And putting them on the other server is pretty straightforward. We just give it the SFTP command and we tell it what account to log on to at what computer. So I'm going to log on to the client user account at 10.0.0.31, and because we've exchanged SSH keys, I don't have to provide a password. It logs me into the other machine and I'm ready to go. I will issue a few commands at this point. I'm going to change the directories to the inbound directory on the client side, and if we look over here, I'm going to toggle over and change to the inbound folder. And let's look and see if there's anything there. That directory is empty. So I'm going to flip back over here, and then I'm going to simply say put the file out to client.txt. And it does that and finishes that task. If I look over here, there's now a file in that directory. So we've transferred one single file, and what we want to do now is make that a little bit more automatic. We have on our computer, we have a folder called SFTP batch files, and in that folder are a couple of files that contain the same instructions that I used while running the SFTP tool manually. Basically a cd command, a put command, and then a quit command. Notice that I've added an option here to rename the file when we're transmitting it. And this is handy because on our computer we may want to observe one naming convention, but the client may want to use a different naming convention. So you can actually put these commands in the batch file to not only move the file, to put it on the other computer, but to rename it at the same time that it's being sent. So earlier, just a few minutes ago, we used a command, this command, to send a file to the client computer. We're going to reuse this command, and we're going to add an option, the -b option, and that allows us to add a file name, in this case a path and a file name, of the batch file that we just looked at with those 3 lines in it, the 3 commands. So to recap here, we have the command that starts SFTP. We have this -B option, which points at the batch file we just looked at, and then the last part of the command, which tells the SFTP tool what user to log on as and on what server. And you'll recall that because we already have a SSH keys have been exchanged, we should not have to enter a password. So I'm just going to hit enter, and that appears to have worked. It displays the messages, the instructions on the screen. I changed directory, I put the file, I renamed it to client from us, and then I quit. If I toggle back over to the client computer and take a look in our directory, our inbound directory, now I see that I do actually have a new file with the new name. It's an exact copy of the earlier file, I just renamed it as it was transmitted. So that gives us the ability, with simply issuing a single command, all self-contained, tells the SFTP tool where to log on, who to log on as, no password is required, and all the commands to actually transfer the file and rename it are self-contained in this one command. It saves a lot of time and makes it much less prone to errors because you're not having to type in everything at one time. This command could be saved, could be put into a script, could be reused over and over again without having to retype it if you had a recurring process. And we'll stop here because that actually leads us into the next video segment where we'll talk about doing exactly that. We want to set up a hypothetical case where we're going to transfer these files at a predetermined time. We'll set up a job scheduler in the next video. All right, thanks.